always by Chris. How you doing, buddy?
Good, good. You're getting better. You remembered.
I did. I mean, that's the first time. And it's funny because half people don't see before we go live. We
Yeah.
we usually just chat for like 10 seconds, and half the time I ask you what episode is this, but then by the time we go live, I've already forgot.
Yeah, you already fucked it up.
Yeah.
So
It always gets better as it goes.
yeah, that's how it always goes, right? It's always those
That's
little
why.
bit of nerves before the camera turns on, and then once you start talking, they kind of slowly go away. But today we're actually doing another special episode, a branch off of a previous episode. So Dan, if you want to explain it.
Yes, we're doing almost a part two episode. I believe it was 3 weeks ago. I think we did our top 10 favorite albums of all time, our personal favorites.
Yeah.
And it seemed like we got the most hits on some of our videos on our picks for our top albums. So we thought it seemed like maybe a topic everybody liked hearing about. So we figured maybe take another stab at it. And it's pretty fitting that episode 11, we're going to do our favorite albums 20 to 11. So it works out
Yeah.
perfect.
It works out great. I want to say it's weird because my top 10 is always interchangeable, like we talked. So a lot of
Yeah.
these albums from 20 to 11 can fit in my top 10 any day of the week. I just valued my top 10 as albums that I've replayed over the last 5 years. Once a week I've listened to those albums. So
Right.
um, I'm interested to start here. What do you want to do? You wanted to go from 20 to 11?
I think I think so. I think that probably makes sense, right? To count down, because I mean, like 11's basically like he's the
Yeah.
champion of this episode. He's number one.
Yeah, we can do that. So, wait, you want me to go first?
Uh,
Well, I
yeah,
went first.
sure.
I went first last time. You go first.
Did
You go
you?
first.
Okay, I'll go first this time. Before we go, you think? I mean, I can't remember. It's been a while since I watched back that last episode. But do you think you mentioned any of the albums you're going to say today in the past episode? Because we were bringing up a few things that like just missed the list.
Possibly.
Yeah,
Possibly.
I don't think anybody's out there that's like studied our show close enough.
No,
We
I will
we'd
say
just be happy someone was watching it all.
that's true. I will say I cheated on one of them, so that's. I'll just leave it at that.
What does that mean? You cheated?
Just wait until you see. Okay.
It's not gonna be an album or something. It's gonna be like in my 13th favorite album of all time, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
It could be a soundtrack.
Yeah, okay. I think soundtrack counts. I have one that actually, you know what? I have one that's a bit of a cheat, but anyways, getting ahead of myself. So yeah, you want me to start?
Go ahead. Yeah, let's hear number 20. But again,
Okay,
are these interchangeable for you into your top 10 or no?
some of them. I don't. Some of them I don't think would hit my top 10. Honestly, when I went to do this, I realized that my top 10 is more solid than I suspected. Like maybe the bottom three could be interchangeable with some of these albums. I think the one I put from 11, I probably should have fit my top 10 somewhere.
Mhm.
But for the most part, I actually, when I went back to do this, I'm like, oh no, you know what? None of these most of these albums aren't like they definitely wouldn't be in the top interchangeable with any of my top five.
No, okay, that's not bad. I know mine is very interchangeable, so we'll see. It's
Yeah,
daily for me. I can admit I'm not really an album guy. I'm more of a pick a
right.
song choosy kind of guy, but we'll see what I got. We see what I got.
Yeah, I think that all depends on how you listen to music, right? You know me and my vinyl. That usually vinyl guys end up listening to the full record, right? And
Absolutely, yeah.
I know you're like you love your cruising in the car, listening to the tracks. That's your favorite way to listen to music.
That's it. That's it. Or when we were younger, when I would drop your ass home after and I just walk home, that was my
Yeah,
jam.
yeah.
Man.
With our old ass MP3s and shit like that.
Oh yeah,
iPod
man.
man.
Oh, good old times, man. All right, buddy.
Oh,
Let
all
me
right.
hear it.
Okay, so number 20. This one was tough. Like there's a lot of things that just narrowly could have picked. I still like was him and Haunted at the end of this. Like maybe I shouldn't pick this. Maybe it doesn't feel right being there. But I'm just gonna go with it. That's 2002 release by Chicago natives Wilco, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Tell us a little bit about that because I don't know that.
so this one, it's kind of a staple for like 90s, 2000s indie heads. It's
Okay.
so Wilco's kind of a band. They've been around most of the '90s. Their front man, singer songwriter Jeff Tweedy. He was kind of on the forefront of like an alt country kind of movement in the early '90s, and eventually he met up with the guys formed Wilco. Really, just the main thing is him and the collaboration with Jay Bennett, who is kind of the mastermind behind the instrumental layouts on this album and stuff like that. It's kind of what gives a lot of layers to the sound of the album. Jeff Tweedy's he lays down all the vocals, all the lyrics and stuff, and all the elaborate sounds around it are kind of Jay Bennett's contribution. It's kind of an interesting story behind the album. There's actually even a documentary around the recording of it. When they went to release it, it was rejected by the record company. The record company's
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, the record company's like, this is no good, and we can't sell this. And so they fought the record company on it. The record company wouldn't release it. They ended up releasing it for free on their website, and
Oh,
it
wow.
gained so much traction and critical success that another company ended up releasing it.
See?
And yeah, it shows you how much like Suits really actually know about music because it's generally considered their best release. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's my number 20, Wilco Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. Oh, and I was gonna last time we did the albums, I was mentioning two, three bands that these bands or these albums influence. I'm not gonna do that this week. I'm just gonna mention three songs to listen to on the album instead. And I would suggest from this album, I Am Trying to Break Your Heart, Jesus, etc., and maybe Heavy Metal Drummer is a nice poppy track.
Yeah, it's interesting for obviously a lot of bands back then, obviously 90s artists, especially stuff that were going through record companies and the amount of money like we talk about a lot of stars and they're going, I'll say like rappers, I'll go off that. They're driving BMWs, Lexus, and they're rapping about it being big money. And that those are only 50, $60,000 cars, but we're looking at it going like, these guys have to be rich, but the record company is taking all the money. And
Yeah,
the kids nowadays have it so much easier than those guys to make money. They're driving Lamborghinis. They have multiple of them, multiple houses. They don't have to go through a record company. They can release it on all these social media platforms. They have they have this wonderful device that we're recording on right now. You can download an app to make your own beats. You can record your song and then upload it. It's really crazy how the game has changed from, going and fighting with a record label to release your album to, oh, you know what? We can just do it ourselves. We got all the
exactly.
100% prop. Like it's very good. But it sucks for those older artists that we see that, they're not living that luxurious lifestyle that they should be living. But hey, that's how it goes sometimes. And those guys have to go through that to make the newer generation a little bit easier.
Yeah, and you know what? I do think there is some negatives to the idea that now everybody can release their music and record it independently. I do think that there is an aspect that like a studio contributes to music, just an environment even. Like there's an entire Foo Fighters TV series based on it where they go to different famous recording studios around the US and they write and record a new song in each one. And the idea is like, let's see how different and how like different sounding it turns out in all these different environments. So I mean,
Absolutely.
there's pros and cons to everything, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Always. Always.
Yeah.
Okay. So my number 20.
Let's hear
Um,
it. Let's 20.
this is actually a little different from my top 10. I remember listening to this album when I was very young, after my dad had finished putting Bob Marley on and his 81 Trans Am. I was flipping through his CD albums, and I saw this album, and it had funky art. You know, it kind of reminded me of that African style art. So I'm like, well, let's put this on, and it was very. It did sound a little bit like Bob Marley, that fusion reggae with a lot of, how do I say it, a lot of soul music, poppy reggae. But I absolutely love this album. Has amazing songs on it. I'm gonna go with 1978's Third World, Journey to Addis.
Oh,
I don't-
nice. I'm not familiar with that album itself, actually. I'm
no,
familiar with the band, of course.
this is a great album. Obviously, at this time, this band wanted to sell more records, so they had to change up their style to the newer generation reggae. So that was going to that fusion type reggae instead of that pure hardcore reggae, to that slower, catchier little beats. Still good lyrics, but the delivery was a lot, slower and smooth, to try to sell more albums. And I know I read on that a lot of the hardcore reggae fans kind of didn't like it. I absolutely loved it. That's what my dad loved. That's what I listened to growing up. It's a great, great, great album. Let me put it up again for anyone out there. Listen to this album. It's fantastic. It's a good reggae listen to if you're going on a long trip and you just want to, bob your head a little bit and just, you
Absolutely.
know, yeah, feel the vibe. This is the album for you. So Third World, Journey to Addis. I think it's got about 8 to 10 songs on it. A lot of the songs are, I think, 4 to even 10 minutes long. So
Oh,
you're getting a good mouthful of reggae, and it's smooth, it's beautiful, it's fresh.
what year
1970,
was? 78, 78.
1978. Yeah, it's a good album. I think you would enjoy it.
I do definitely have to listen to that because I do enjoy a lot of old school reggae. I like my Peter Tosh too, my Gregory Isaacs. I love all those old school reggae
This
guys.
This falls right in there. This falls right in the, like I said, the previous albums before the release of this one was very that pure, straightforward,
Yeah,
very hard reggae. And then it went to that nice new smooth reggae that we're accustomed to from our fathers, right? So
yeah.
that's a great album. Great childhood memories of just flipping through my dad's little CD book and driving in his Trans Am and just cruising and bobbing the reggae, both of us.
That's great. Yeah, I love me some reggae. You can't beat those offbeats as well. Just the boop, boop,
Yeah.
boop.
Get a lot of it. All right,
All
buddy.
right.
All right.
Okay. Well, my number 20, it's kind of bursting a bubble on us because I know we were both patting ourselves on the back last week that we didn't pick anything like any of those like old classic rock bands you hear on the radio or anything like that or any of the obvious stuff. And I think I'm about to ruin that for us. I mean, I think I was going to ruin that for us co-picks in by picking obvious stuff too, but I think I'm going to ruin it on this one. I couldn't leave this out of my top 20. It was one thing to leave it out of my top 10, but I had to represent them somewhere. And that is The Doors, Strange Days, I'm going with.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
The
I
door
mean, you know me.
Doors
You
are
know
pretty
me,
good. I was gonna
especially
ask you. You never had them, so I was kind of surprised. So here they come.
yeah. Well, I know you know me and Dave are both huge Doors fans.
Yeah.
The main thing is just hard to put one album over another. Like I could have had this. I could have their first album. I know some people think LA Woman's overrated. I love LA Woman. I don't give a fuck what people say. I love Waiting for the Sun, Morrison Hotel, all of them. But I think at the end of the day, this is my favorite album. I mean, uh, lots of great memories. Listen to all these tracks, like in the car with David. There's like half the
Okay.
music that would come on David's radio on shuffle would be The Doors, and that's
Cool.
half what I listened to for like a good like 3-4 years. I was just obsessed. I mean, it's great summertime music too. Throw it on this time of year. Just great like '60s. Flower Power music. Everybody knows all these tunes. Lots of great tracks on this. Everybody knows. People are strange when the music's over. But this got Moonlight Drive. Moonlight Drive was my favorite Doors song for a long, long time. But yeah, you can't go wrong with that. It's an absolute classic. Definitely one of the best releases by the Doors, and that is my number 19 album of all time.
That's a good choice. That's a good choice. Let me see the album cover again. That's what I love about older album covers. They're just the best, man. Oh
Look,
yeah, I love
R.I.P. Iron Sheik. Doesn't that guy look like the Sheik?
it. Rest in peace, Iron Sheik.
Rest in peace, Sheik. There was somebody else too this week, wasn't there?
That passed away?
Yeah, I got my memories though. Today was the anniversary of, I think it was 9 years ago. 9 years ago, on the same day, we lost Dusty Rhodes and Christopher Lee. Fucking
Oh,
Count Dooku and the American Dream
oh wow.
in one day.
That's awful.
I know, what a
I feel,
horrible
I
day.
feel, I feel bad because once one kind of celebrity, passes away, there's a lineup coming. So be
It does. It feels
prepared.
like it snowballs.
Yeah.
Man, there was a few years there. It's like every time I picked up my phone, I'm like, oh my God, a wrestler. Like it was just wrestlers, 80s wrestlers just falling like 2 a week for a while. Like,
Yeah, well, we're getting to that age now when those guys that we idol, they're fucking, so old, right? Like fuck.
yeah.
Like they're older than our dads.
And I
And
hate
it's-
to make the joke because everybody makes it, but and Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones is still alive somehow.
Yo, drugs and alcohol, man. Drug, alcohol, and sex keeps you alive, man.
Guess so. I guess so.
All right, number 19, eh? I have
Yep,
mine
number
all
19.
I have mine all scattered because like the order doesn't really matter to me, but I'm gonna try to put them in order here. Um, number 19, what I want to go with here. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna jump into more of my culture. I'm gonna jump into dance hall with this pick. Um,
Ooh.
before I say this, it's kind of weird. I'm kind of brainwashed by media because when I listen to this artist or this album, everyone thinks I'm listening to Sean Paul. Now, this artist came out before Sean Paul, so it's kind of like what you were saying with, I believe, Kraftwerk, when it's like, this guy was previous, he didn't get the recognition he deserved, and the artists later on that followed his style ended up being the bigger, more famous artist, right? So it's
Yeah.
mostly the hardcore, dance hall soca fans. Um, consider him the one of the kings of dance hall. Even Sean Paul himself has said in interviews that he is heavily influenced by this artist, and that is Supercat with his album Don Dada.
Oh man, look at that album art too. I'm not familiar, but oh man, look at that guy. Don't look at He looks like a gangster.
Yeah, so yeah, it's him in like a 50s, 40s kind of feel there. Um, Beautiful. I can only compare it to again Sean Paul's Dirty Rock when that came out. What a banger that was! And I'm not trying to
Yeah,
be racist or anything, but at the time, I never noticed any of white people listening to dancehall until that album came out, Sean Paul, and
that's true.
yeah, and then when Supercat, basically, he had this album come out. Which year did this come out? 1992. This album came out, and then
Wow.
he virtually disappeared. He was gone from the 90s. I tried to do research on, what happened to him. Supposedly, he had some feud with another reggae artist. He had a trial and he went there for murder, but he got acquitted. So I don't know if that had to deal with
Oh
him with
shit.
music career or not. But I'm not sure about the history.
A
But
gangster.
again, yeah, but again, if you like Sean Paul's flow, everything about this guy is for you. This album is fantastic. It's a mix of soca, dancehall. It'll make you bob your head, stomp your feet, shake your ass. This is This is the album for you. So please check out Supercat Dondada and give the man some respect. One of the pioneers and kings of the dance hall scene.
Yeah, it's almost got to be close to a decade before Sean Paul broke onto the scene.
Absolutely. And there was an interview I watched, and Sean Paul was saying when he was younger in high school, his friends used to say, "Hey, you sound like Supercat." And he's like, "Who's Supercat?" And then he went to listen to him, and then it heavily influenced his flow and his style.
Right.
But you never hear about Supercat, the dance hall, king. I wouldn't say it's Sean Paul, but to North Americans, it is Sean Paul.
Yeah.
He's the biggest radio hit player that we have of that soca scene. So please check out Supercat, man. You'll be very impressed. Your mom would like
Yeah.
Supercat. She'd probably think it's Sean Paul.
Oh my God, my mom loves that kind of stuff, dude.
Obviously, like I remember with Sean Paul though, like we used to have dance parties in my garage to Sean
Oh,
Paul, and I'd be standing there flicking off the light bed. Give me a light, and I'd be flicking off the light.
oh God, I remember they used to play Sean Paul at the Cosmic Dances. We were talking about that in the last episode. We were talking about music, and
Oh
oh my
yeah.
God, gymnasium full of white children dancing to
Yeah.
Sean Paul.
Give me the light and pass the
oh
Big
man,
Make
Jerv
sure,
loves him too.
oh yeah, make sure you check out that album. Super Cat Nondado. I swear, when you listen to it, you're like, I'm just listening to Sean Paul. Your brain wants to think you're listening to Sean Paul, but you're not. You're listening to Super Cat.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how much like you're saying, like talking about how he came first and how Sean Paul made more money off the style, even though he pioneered it. It's like it's sad how that it always seems to work out that way in music. It seems like the artists that break the ground, they do it in the underground because they're doing
Mhm.
something new, and people are and initially suits are turned off by it. Don't think they can make money off of it. But then once they see them generate a little bit of success for themselves, they're like, "Oh fuck, we can go do that," and they just grab somebody else and get and mold
Exactly.
them after it or whatever, or find somebody similar and then just try to profit off that style.
That's how it works, though, right?
Yeah.
How it works, man. We're all spokes on a wheel, like CM Punk said, and it keeps on spinning, right?
oh man, CM Punk's totally gonna come up later on in this, and I
Oh, okay, okay.
not any of his music though, not any of his theme songs, but yeah,
Okay.
you'll see. You'll see.
All
Some
right.
people might get that if there's anybody watching.
I don't think so. No one, no one likes our show except
Hey?
us. No one likes our show except us.
Yeah, no one likes CM Punk these days either.
No.
Maybe he'll come on.
Oh, maybe we could ask him.
yeah, I think he might be a little bit over our budget.
Oh yeah. Fuck. We'll catch him.
I
We'll
don't even
catch
have
him. We'll catch him at a
I
Comic
can't
Con.
even look me up on the floor. I can't even afford a chair. I'm CM Punk. I'm coughing and shit. God damn it.
All right, buddy. Give me
I,
a number 18,
18
Joe.
now.
What do you got?
Okay, well, 18, right? This is 18.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, my number 18. I'm gonna rep Canada a little bit. I think this is the first time I've
Oh,
had a Canadian band, and
I think
it
I know
is.
who it is.
Oh, I
I'm
don't think you do.
no.
but it's Portage La Prairie, Manitoba natives.
Oh
Propagandhi. How to
no,
clean everything.
I don't know who that is, but I like the artwork.
Yeah, that's what captivated me when I actually had never listened to this band, and I went into Sunrise Records in Barrie, and I just went to go look through just to see if there's anything that caught my eye, anything I didn't have that I would want to listen to. I used to do that anytime I had time off on like a Saturday afternoon or whatever. I would just go out, grab a record, take it home, listen to it for the afternoon, and then I was like my little ritual. So I was just looking for anything that caught my eye. I didn't see anything that like I knew I was familiar with that interested me, but immediately this artwork captivated me. And of
Yeah.
course, being a punk fan, I immediately recognized, like, well, this is definitely a punk album. It's got to be a punk album. And just like the pictures in the back, like
Oh yeah, that's definitely down your alley, yo.
yeah. And I was not disappointed, and it's actually a lot to take in at first because these guys do not pull any punches. It reminds me a little bit like when we were talking about Rage Against the Machine a few episodes back about how political they are and stuff, and similar political stance, very left leaning, very like socialist leaning, but like really pulls no punches. Like there's a song on this album called that's basically all anti-militarism, anti-patriotism, and the song's literally called "Stick the fucking flag up your goddamn ass."
Nice.
there's
So
a
what?
there's
Go ahead. Go
a,
ahead.
there's a ska song on this album called "Ska Sucks," and the chorus literally goes, "Ska sucks. Ska revival isn't cool, you stupid fucks."
What year was that album you were saying?
What was that?
What year was that?
1993,
Oh, okay,
actually.
okay. Because I'm
So
I'm
this
gonna
is
have to want to listen to that one.
yeah, you might like this one. This is very like it's like really captures like that time period in punk pretty well. They changed a lot over their sound over the years. I really like this early Propaganda album. I'm not so big on the later stuff. Most of their fans find that their later stuff is better. That it's more technically precise and just cleaner. I think more
Mhm.
mature. I guess fans look at it, but I kind of like the immature like punk sensibility in the lyrics, and I like the rawness of it too. So that's why I've only really ever been interested in this album by them. One of my favorite albums of all time. And yeah, a Canadian album as well. And yeah, lots of interesting
Not bad.
tracks. Oh, there's a reggae song on this, and the
Oh,
entire song criticizes Rastafarianism.
oh god. So listen to that one, yo.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, a few songs I would suggest on it would be Anti Manifesto, which is the first opening track. Ska Sucks is also good. And
Yeah,
This May Be Satire is a good tune.
I'm gonna listen to
That's
that album. I'm gonna listen to that album when I drive to work tomorrow, for
yeah, you
sure.
might
Yo.
like it. It might be a little much in the morning, but that'll wake you up probably.
I need to I need to get to wake up in the morning after this podcast. We're gonna get like 4 hours sleep. So
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, speak for yourself. I'm off tomorrow. So.
you fucker. All
I was
right.
up at 6 a.m. for a wedding though today, so
See, what are we
I'm
at
just gonna
here?
follow before we get to 11.
Yeah, that's it. Hopefully not. What are we at? Number 19, 17?
I'm first, right? So you're at 18, right?
No, no. Yeah, 18. Okay.
Yeah, 18. You're at
All right.
18.
Whatever it is. We're just we're just putting albums down anyway. Okay. So my number 18 comes again. You brought up Rage Against the Machine. This artist's first album is highly acclaimed um, uh, work of art. What else? I can't explain it. Brilliance, genius. I'm not gonna go again with this first album. I'm gonna go with this album instead, and that is 2001, Stillmatic.
Ooh, Illmatic, yes.
So,
Oh man, I had that growing up.
so the background to Stillmatic here is Nas.
Stillmatic, sorry, I said that.
Yes, Stillmatic. Nas here. This was actually really a do or die from at this time because his last what 3 albums, after Stillmatic they were okay, but
Yeah.
it wasn't the street Nas. It was more poppier, radio.
Yeah.
Let me get the radio play. He started to work with Diddy. It really showed, Nas wasn't the kind of guy to be dancing in a music video. He was dancing all in the music videos, very bad boy, influenced. He really got back to his roots here in Stillmatic. His first, album of the 2000s. It's a banger. Obviously, it's got Either on it. It's got Yourself a Gun. It's got Rewind. It's got One Mic. It's got Destroy and Rebuild. It's got Rule. It's got The Flyest. It's got some great songs on it. Obviously, he's enters the 2000s with that 2000 era beats, but with that 90s flow.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant album. He's even said himself, I'm more than just Illmatic, Stillmatic here. Absolutely blows the speakers off. Great album, great feud with Jay-Z also. Um,
Ooh.
a very good feud with Jay-Z. I think it kind of goes Jay-Z won because he's the bigger, richer person, but on the streets,
Ooh.
everyone on the streets will say Nas took it because the streets don't like Jay-Z. But again, fantastic album, really saved Nas's career. Really brought him back. What can you say about, some of those top songs on there? One Mic? Are you
Oh,
kidding me?
the way
One
that
Mic.
builds that crescendo, just
And then you got yourself a gun. I remember just listening to that on my headphones, man. Got yourself a gun. Great album, man. So if anyone out there has never listened to Nas, obviously, Illmatic is a great place to start. With me, I've listened to so many '90s artists that I'm not saying Illmatic isn't good. I'm not saying those albums I've listened to are better, but they all are very similar on that East
yeah,
Coast. This was obviously that East Coast Nas, great lyrics, but on the new entering the 2000s beats, it's just a beautiful, beautiful album. So yes, go check out Nas's Stillmatic, which really means still illmatic if you break it down in syllables.
yeah.
Nas is a beauty on this album for sure.
That's you really hit the nail on the head too with the change of the beats in the 2000s on the East Coast. Like you hear that in all of them. Like even
Yeah,
like Wu-Tang Clan, you hear that as well.
yeah,
Like as soon as the new millennium came, yeah, all the production really changed on the East Coast.
yeah. Like even on that song, "Rule" is an amazing song. Really, Nas really kills it entering the that new millennium. Beautiful, beautiful album. So if anyone out there, again, has not listened to Nas and you don't want to go to that '90s gritty style because you find it too old or that's not your style of hip hop, Stillmatic is a great introduction to Nas.
Yeah, that's an excellent pick. That was my introduction to Nas. I remember because I think I got the CD off my older brother, and he was old enough to
Yeah,
be CDs when Stillmatic came out, but I don't think he's buying CDs back when Illmatic came out yet.
no.
But he
Even
didn't have
even
that in
the
his
intro,
collection.
even the intro to Stillmatic is a fucking fire song. So
What is
Nas
the intro again? Which one's the intro?
it's just called intro
Oh, it is.
Stillmatic.
Okay.
And he just goes in on it, yo. Great album, man. Very good album. Obviously, like I said, my top 10 is interchangeable. The Brat, the Brat, another tantrum could be tossed out any day of the week. We're talking like it's a toss
Right.
up to me. So any of these, great albums. Doesn't matter what order it really falls for me.
Is either your number one diss track of all time?
No,
No.
no, it's a good track, but you know, uh, hit 'em up hits hard, man.
Hit 'em up. Yeah, yeah.
You know what I
Pretty
mean?
ruthless.
You enter a track and I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker. And it's
Uh,
true too. So it's funny, yo.
yeah, yeah.
Who knows?
It's true that he fucked his bitch or that he's a fat motherfucker or both.
Both of
I
them.
guess both.
All right, buddy. Give me your next one. Oh, yeah, that's funny.
Alrighty. Where are we at? Well, we're 17.
Yeah.
17, okay. Now
I
my
gotta
number
keep track.
7. Hey?
I gotta keep track, man. I'm fucking losing it over here,
I
yo.
know. See, like, I remember the episode today, and then we just lose track of every fucking other number.
We're just we're just having fun talking about great albums y'all should fucking listen to. That's all we're doing
Dan-
here, man.
Someone else should just listen to us in general.
Yeah. Put us on your put us on your playlist. You won't you we're a great driving podcast to listen to, man. When
Yeah.
if you're driving to work, put on the Boyz podcast.
And if you think you're boring, just listen to us to fall asleep.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, it worked. Either way, we're a dose of something to help you out.
Yeah, there's something for everybody. And if you think I'm a douchebag, you can hate watch us. I hate watch wrestling all the time. It works.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Anyways, my number
Anyway,
17 or 18 or
number
whatever it is,
17.
17.
Yeah, whatever it is now, you fucked it up. Go
I did.
go
Where I
ahead.
already know where that. Okay,
Wait,
got my number 17. 1989's release, Doolittle by the Pixies.
oh, what is that? A
Yes,
monkey? Is that a monkey
it is
or
a
a dog?
monkey.
Okay.
He's got a little halo on it, and there's a song
Yeah.
actually on the album called "This Monkey's Gone to Heaven." So I'm
Okay.
assuming that's the monkey. I'm assuming,
It must
but
be.
yeah, don't be turned off by the strange cover. It is an excellent album, and it again along that theme of like kind of bands that broke ground, created sounds. They're kind of known for their melodic guitar pop songs that would kind of erupt into big like distorted noise, and it kind
Yeah.
of became known as like people would call it the loud, quiet, loud, or soft, hard, soft song format or whatever, which actually became kind of famous in mainstream music by Nirvana just a few years later.
Hmm.
Kurt Cobain also credits Pixies as an influence, and he actually refers to "Smells Like Teen Spirit" as a Pixies ripoff song. So it's heavily influential on rock music to come in the '90s, and very much ahead of its time. Their earlier album, I think 1988, Surfer Rosa, also a really good album. This one's a little bit more accessible, I find. I find there's a lot of songs on here that everybody can enjoy. I would personally suggest songs like the first song, "Debaser," also "Wave of Mutilation," and "Here Comes Your Man" are songs that I think at fairly regular radio play. So I think people actually would recognize a lot of those.
Mm.
I think most people know the Pixies from Fight Club.
Yeah, I
"Where's
was
My
gonna
Mind?"
say that.
That song, yeah, that's off Surfer Rosa, this album before. But yeah, I mean, think about that music coming out in the '80s when it was mostly like hair metal, new
Yeah.
wave pop. Like it was definitely got to be very groundbreaking for its time.
So you're saying you don't like Twisted Sister?
Oh man, I not gonna lie, I have their Christmas album and it is incredible.
It's
It is
amazing.
incredible. What is that song? I can't remember what the song's called because I don't know my Christmas songs out as well as I should. Was it "Hark the Herald Angel Sings" or whatever? They
It's
do
amazing.
that, but it's literally just "We're Not Gonna Take It." It's like "Hark the Angel Herald Sing," like, but it's literally just "We're Not Gonna Take It." Like the song, the guitar line, riff, and everything. Oh, it's
Yeah,
incredible. I got turned on by an old guy at my work, and oh man, yeah, incredible Christmas album.
that's awesome, yo. I don't mind Twisted Sister actually too, yo.
Hey, they play a role in history. I mean, Dee Snider, there, the singer, he went to court against the stood up to the federal government against censorship of music in the '80s. So,
Yeah,
gotta give him credit.
yeah. Gotta give credit where it's due, man.
Absolutely.
That's good, yo. All right, what are we at now? What am I at? 17?
17.
17. All right. I'm gonna go with a punk rock band here as my 17th pick. This album came out in 2001. Um, I absolutely love this album here. I actually listened to it the other day at work when I was on the loader, and I couldn't help it. I was bobbing my head. I was stomping my feet like I was, hitting that bass drum. Um, I don't know if a lot of people know this band. I don't know if you're gonna know this band. Those are kind of the punk rock bands I listen to, the ones that are kind of obscure. But
Right.
honestly, when I say this album here, it just brings me back to simpler times. Again, I reminisce of me being on my skateboard. I reminisce about watching, um, American Pie, all those movies of like high school kids, living that life that I thought high school was gonna be like, and Sometimes it is like that, and sometimes it's not like that, and it depends what group you're hanging out with. But this album just brings me back to that simpler time, and I'm talking about "Somewhere in America" by Dynamite Boys. I don't know if you know this album.
I don't think I know this one either. You got me last time with the Alistair too, and I didn't know that one. I did end up going back listen to Alistair and recognizing a track or two, but I don't recognize this one either. You got me again.
I'm not gonna tell you any of the tracks because I want you to listen
No?
to the full album when you're
Okay.
ready. But it's one of those albums that honestly you can just listen to the full album and honestly enjoy it. Again, Dan already pointed it out. My favorite time is listening to music when I'm driving. I commute a good distance to work. So I love to just put on, here and there random songs. But if I put on albums, I'll listen to the full thing. And this is one of those albums where I just enjoy the fuck out of it. We talk about big hitters back in that era when this came out. We'll say again, Blink 182. Their first album's fantastic, but to me, I want to hear the 3 or 4 big songs on it, and then I kind of go skip it, skip it, skip it, or something like that.
Right.
That's honestly just the way it is. It's nostalgia. This album here, I can listen to the full thing. Like I said, it brings me back to those simpler times when I thought when I was going to go to high school right away when I walked through the doors, someone was going to whip my dick out and start sucking it, but it didn't happen like that. I was not. I was never going to stick my dick in a pie, but I did stick it, under my couch cushion. But you know what I mean?
In the movies, it always went one extreme or the other. It was either absolutes, like the greatest sexual fantasy a young adolescent could imagine, or it was just the most horrible sexual embarrassment in front of one's
Absolutely.
peers that you could ever comprehend. Like,
Come on, man. I can't be the only one that fucked the couch cushion. Anyways,
is that better than a
somewhere,
pie? I don't know.
somewhere in America by Dynamite Boys. Listen to it, enjoy
Oh,
it, and I guarantee you'll start to bob your head and start to stomp your feet a little bit. And yeah, you're in the groove. You're feeling the vibe. So take a look at this band. I don't know if a lot of people know it. I know it, and I love them.
you'll be feel the vibe so much you won't even notice the stuff dripping out of the couch cushion.
On the next open book episode, I'll talk about it.
About what MacGyver sex toys. I could get myself off with a piece of bubble gum and a toothpick.
But, all right,
Oh,
buddy.
shit.
Where are we at?
Okay, number 16.
How do we get
Okay,
this? How do we get the sex talk from fucking Dynamite Boys, man? What are we doing here?
I don't know. Yeah, there was there was like a phallus on the cover, wasn't there? Like a cucumber or something, or a pickle. Maybe that's where
No,
we get. That's what it was.
it's the basketball net.
Oh shit, that's not a cucumber or pickle. Well, let me bring the phallus to the table though, and with my
Bring it.
number 6 pick, the Velvet Underground and Nico by the Velvet Underground and Nico. Um,
Oh,
probably recognize that artwork, eh? Or
sort of. What is that?
well, you can see it here today. It's actually the artwork is done by Andy Warhol, and everybody
Yeah, that's
knows
what
Andy
I thought.
Warhol, the Campbell's soup can, the Marilyn Monroe, and stuff like that, right? Um, Velvet Underground was kind of like a pet project of his back in the day, back in the '60s. All the songs are written, sung. Well, not all of them sung, but all of them written by Lou Reed, who a lot of people know his solo music. Walk on the Wild Side, stuff like that. And but this album, when it came out, was actually kind of infamous for its lack of sales and the joke. But then it's kind of become this icon of alternative music over the years because the joke with the album is so few people bought it, but all the people that did bought it started a band kind of
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, so it's kind of the brainchild of Andy Warhol and Lou Reed. Andy Warhol was the producer on the album, but it's probably debatable how much actual production it does. I think the music side was mostly Lou Reed, but obviously Andy Warhol had influence other places. You got the artwork, and he did give Lou themes to write the songs about, as well as he's the one that convinced them to bring Nico in to do vocals. Nico was just she'd done some vocals with other musicians, but she was mostly like a German fashion model. She'd
Oh,
actually been in, I
cool.
don't know if you're familiar with the movie, but she was in Fellini's La Dolce Vita back in the 60s.
I'm not familiar with that movie.
Yeah, but she actually gives some pretty cool, unique vocals on the album. And yeah, again, like a kind of a staple of older alternative music. Kind of, again, kind of burst in our bubble, kind of a lame pick, kind of one of those
No.
ones you would see on lists and stuff.
Yeah. That's all right. None of us are. Only a few of our albums are on lists and stuff. So yeah, but
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
mine
I try to
typically
switch
mine.
up as much as possible.
Yeah, we enjoy more of the underground hidden gems, right? But
Yeah, exactly.
let me see that album art again. I'm
Yeah,
trying
and
to.
I don't have.
I know that's a banana, but it does look like a plantain.
There you go. So you know the difference. Yeah, I don't have the cool one. The original one, you could actually peel the banana.
Oh no way! That
Yeah,
would have been cool.
I
Yeah,
know people that have it, but yeah, no, I'm too fucking cheap.
you fucking bastard, Joe.
All
Fuck. All right.
right, what's your
What the
number?
hell?
Your number 16.
Number 16 already. Um, I'm gonna go with this pick here. Again, I'm going back to 1996. For anyone that has watched the episodes previously, you know, obviously 95, 96 seems to be where I like to jump into. I'm going with an artist here who is generally known for being a very steady lyricist with the I can only put it as a I don't give a fuck attitude. Like he's got a I don't give a fuck style. He's always been steady, always been super lyrical, very humorous. You know, kind of raps. It kind of gets a little bit away from himself and it comes back and it's kind of scattered all over the place, but it all kind of makes sense because he's lyrically a genius. Um, this album here has 20 tracks. Again, you got that 90s beat, 90s dingy beat that I love with just lyrics and flow. This rapper doesn't rap to get on the radio. He doesn't care about that. And that is Muddy Waters by Redman.
Oh yes. Oh man, that was a banger. Oh, I fucking love
An
that one back.
absolute, an absolutely great album. I could give you songs to listen to, but I'm not because I want you to go out and support them and listen to. Um,
Yeah.
a lot of the things with Red and Method Man, I find sometimes their albums are a little harder to listen to because I find they're better with a group or better together, especially with Method Man. I find Method Man's better in a group setting than his individual albums. That's just me. Um, a little bit of Redman too. Once you hear Red and Meth together in those blackouts and you hear them individually on
Oh,
their album, you're kind of just like, oh, they can't beat Blackout lyrically. Um, this album is fantastic. Like I said, though, if you're listening to Redman for the first time, it's gonna be all over the place, but it makes sense somehow because he can put it together with his syllables and rhyming. A great album. I know a lot of people like his first album a lot better, but again, when you're going from that other era, that 92 into that 95, 96, the flow changes, the beat changes, and he changes with it. Muddy Waters by Redman. Great rap album. Please check it out.
absolutely. Excellent choice. Yeah, Redman's the friggin' man. Very always stayed true to himself, always represented himself honestly, and such a
Um,
likable dude. Like, and yeah, you mentioned the humor and the lyrics, like comes off super likable and super funny.
yeah, and like we talk about you saying real. We talk about the most famous Epic Cribs episode of all time when
Oh
they
yeah.
when they go through Redman's house, and I seen an interview, and they were like, "What was up with your house?" And he's like, "What? That's the way I live, man. That's the
Yeah.
way I live." They wanted me to rent this. They were gonna rent me out a big mansion, and I was like, "No, motherfucker, this is my house. Come live here.
Yeah.
Come see how I live, man." They had the TV on a box and shit.
Yeah. It's funny because you can tell most of those places were rented. I remember like the Wu Tang one. They walked into their place and it's like this mansion. There's fucking nothing in it. Like they had like a
Yeah,
couch and they were on like a TV. It's like they didn't even
yeah.
set up this fake house. Like,
No, he's always been real. Also, do you remember when him and Method Man were like super popular and they got their own sitcom? Do you remember that?
sitcom? It is sitcom?
You never watched Meth and Red? Red and Meth. It's
No.
called Red and Meth. And they basically they move into us white suburbs, and they're the only yo. You never seen Red and Meth? Oh,
No. Oh my god.
now you're gonna go watch it, man. You'll enjoy it, yo.
Oh god. I recently watched Clerks 3, and in Clerks 3 they reunite them as their characters from How High. There's a
Oh,
scene where
good
they
because that.
appear in the back seat of the car, and Jamal and Silas are in the front.
Oh, yo, I gotta watch that scene because that new How High 2 sucks ass.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. There was always for years rumors that they
Yeah.
were going to get those guys back together and do a sequel, and then they do How High 2, and they just change the. I mean, I guess they're too old now, but
No, but those guys always wanted to do it. They said they
yeah,
would do it, and then I guess they just went with those newer style guys that are, must be very popular. But obviously,
yeah,
the original one's the best. Fuck, man, that
just like
movie's amazing. I
just like
need
Space Jam, OG.
money.
I need money.
Movie by us. Fuck you.
Oh, so many great lines in that movie.
That's a movie. So again, go out there, Redman, Muddy Waters, 1996. Um, 20 tracks of pure lyrics, humor. It's got some skits on it. I'm not a big fan of the skits. That's the one thing I hate about old school rap. I find there's just too much skits, and some of them are
Sounds
fun, some of them aren't. But listen to the album. You guys will enjoy that one.
Before I give you my 15, who has the best skits in your opinion in rap? Who's your favorite skits?
I don't like any of them.
None.
Like, I'm not a big skit guy because sometimes it just goes too long. Like I know, like even like Nellyville, they have Cedric the Entertainer trying to sleep with this hot chick, and he keeps trying to find the copy of, Nellyville. And then at the end of the album, I think he gets the album in like Spanish or something, and
Right.
then he doesn't like. Some of them are funny, but sometimes when you're just like you want to just listen to the album or something, you're like,
I used to love old school Cash Money ones like Juvenile, Hot Boys.
yeah,
Like
they did have to go,
those are my favorite skits. But Red and Meth too. Like they had great ones. The
yeah,
intro, the black
they
note,
want.
but Pinocchio have wooden balls, man.
They all had good ones, but sometimes it's just like, fuck. Just
Yeah.
I just want to hear some music, man. I don't want to hear you guys fucking talk about some shit, yo. Especially when you're younger and you're listening to the album in your car with your parents, and they're already like, "What the fuck is he listening to?" And then that shit comes
Yeah.
on, and then like, depending on who you listen to, it's like a girl moaning like she's getting fucked, and you're like in grade
Oh.
fucking 4 and 5, and you're like. And then my mom always look back at me and my dad, and they're like, "What do you listen to? We're not listening to this anymore." I'm like, "Fuck."
You should just lie. You're like, oh, this is the new Beach Boys album, Dad.
I don't know. I don't know if my dad likes the Beach Boys, yo.
Your dad's an older male who drives an older car, like a hot rod. He definitely likes the Beach Boys. He has to.
I don't
You go to
know.
those car cruises. That's all they listen to at those car cruises.
I don't know because I know like I don't know. I'll have to ask. I'll ask him. I'll ask him. I'll get back to you on that. I don't know if he likes the Beach Boys, yo. Maybe he does.
You're like, uh, I like the Beach Boys. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I don't mind the Beach Boys. I just don't know if my dad likes them. I can't
I just
remember
assume
him
all those
listening to the Beach
old
Boys.
school car guys love it. I
I
said
know,
my
like,
dad's one of my dad's favorite songs, a Little Deuce Coupe song, just because it's describing a car in such great detail, like more than he'd ever heard in a sound before. He's like, oh my god, yes.
Maybe, I don't know. I've only heard my dad really listen to like reggae, soca,
Reggae.
and that classic rock scene.
Yeah, your dad's a Boston guy, isn't he?
Hmm?
Is your dad
Boston?
like Boston? Yeah.
I don't know if he likes Boston either. Like the Boston album was mine. Like when I
Oh, that
was
was
starting
yours.
to when I
True.
was starting to play guitar, like he took me to the store and just bought me a bunch of albums. He may be a Boston fan. I know his favorite is Led Zeppelin, so I don't
Oh,
know.
Zeppelin. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's my old man's favorite, I think, too.
yeah, those guys of that era hit them, Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix, Van Halen, AC/DC.
Yeah.
Uh,
Springsteen.
I don't know. He likes his band called UFO. I don't mind them. I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
They have that song, Rock Bottom, Rock Bottom.
I bet you like rock bottom.
Yeah, that's what I love about it, Rock Bottom.
That should have been his entrance music.
Oh, fuck. All right, give me your number 15, though.
Okay, my number 15 is this is one that you'll know, and this is one I think you'll enjoy. Another all-time great album, and it is 1971 release of "What's Going On" by Marvin Gaye.
Oh, great choice, man. Good.
Yeah, that's an all-time great one there. And again,
Great artist, man.
yeah, man, you can't beat him. Again, he kind of reminds me of drawn again from last episode when we were talking about Tupac and just how like the emotion just comes out of the guy's voice, and
Yeah.
you feel like you feel the pain, you feel the love, you feel the heartache, you feel all of that in his voice, and that's kind of what Marvin Gaye always brought to the table. And before this album, he kind of made a career off making love songs. Then
Yeah.
finds himself in a world that's kind of changing around him in the late '60s with the Vietnam War, and then like the murders of Malcolm X and
Yep.
Martin Luther King and stuff. And he just found himself in a world that he didn't feel like he felt like singing love songs would be a waste of time and a waste of the voice he had, essentially. So when he eventually did step into the studio and at the turn of the decade, he recorded "What's Going On," which is pretty much almost a full protest album. I know the label Motown Records, they were him and Han about it. They didn't really want to release anything too political. They weren't known for releasing anything too political, but Marvin Gaye pushed and pushed, and thank God he did, because what an excellent album! Like, obviously,
Yep.
a lot of like very deep and mature themes in it, but then he's still able to give it such a warmth and still make it a very inviting album. And that's a beautiful record, and it was my starting point for Marvin Gaye, and I think it's a great starting point for most people for Marvin Gaye. Yeah,
Absolutely,
can't go
man.
wrong.
Can't go wrong with Marvin Gaye, man. So many great hits. Again, like you said, a guy that, really sings with his heart. You know what I mean? Like it's just the emotion just pours out. You can hear it on
Yeah,
the track when you watch him live. You see it, his voice, his emotion, everything. Amazing, amazing artist. Good pick, good pick. The question
excellent.
is, have you ever made love to Marvin Gaye? That's the question.
Oh no, I mostly do that to hardcore punk because the songs are like 45 seconds, so I can pull that off.
Oh, okay, I see, I see, I see.
There's a couple 7-minute songs on here. That's pushing it way too far, bro.
Fuck.
But
What are we at?
yeah, I guess just a couple songs. Title track, "What's Going On," Inner City Blues, "Mercy Mercy Me," and and "Right On." "Right On's awesome as well.
Yeah, all great tracks, man.
Yeah,
All good tracks, all good albums. Listen to everything Marvin Gaye has.
absolutely. No, you
Get
can't go
some,
wrong with any.
get some soul in your body. Listen to some Marvin
Damn.
Gaye.
That was my favorite scene in the MCU. You ever remember that scene where I think it's the Falcon suggests that to Captain America when he's trying to catch up on all the things he's missed. He's like, just listen to Marvin Gaye, Trouble Man. You'll be caught up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Number 15, is that where we're at?
15. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Number 15 again. I'm assuming it's a group that a lot of people haven't heard of. I think a lot of people haven't really heard a lot of the albums I brought up. Again, when I said I grew up with this band, technically I didn't grow up with this group. I mean, because they're much older than me. But when I started getting into hip hop, in my earlier days, and then into high school, um, I grew up with this band. I grew up with their first album, Something for the Youngsters. I grew up with their second album, Aftermath. I grew up with, No Mercy, their third album. And then finally, again in 1995, we're back in 1995 again. This album hits home. Obviously, their first album came out in that 91, 92. So it's got more of that 80s style flow. And then it kind of gets again into that 93 era when it's that, that other the slower flow with the, bigger bass drops. No Mercy kind of gets into that 94ish feel when it's a lot of lyrics on dingy beats. And this one, um, honestly, is perfect. Their rap style is very mellow in this album. They flow perfectly on these dingy 90s beats that are my favorite. Very, very influenced by their favorite artists that are East artists. This group is from Philly. Um, Obviously, on the East side, they're very influenced by B.I.G., Mob Deep. So if you ever listen to this album, very, very Mob Deep like. Mob Deep actually
Ooh.
features on a few songs. And this is I'll Make You Famous by The Youngsters. I don't know if you know this
Oh,
album.
I don't, but you definitely intrigued me with the comparison to Mob Deep. Definitely, they're one of my favorite rap groups of all time for sure. No,
Yes,
I'm not
very,
familiar at all.
very Mob Deep like. Mob Deep heavily influenced their style in that earlier era. Obviously, Mob Deep is actually featured on this album. DA is where I got that. Obviously, you probably know that in my Facebook that I've had since high school. When it says my name and then it says Da Real, this is comes from the youngster.
Oh,
So this is actually where I got that from. So that's why I said I kind of grew up with their style. With that. Obviously, they were very young when their first album come out. So we're talking about the age of Crisscross, another
yes,
artist
yes.
team is one of my favorites too. Um, so they all start off with that fast kind of flow, and then they kind of mellow out into that 90s, later 90s
Right.
style. Obviously, you're not going to hear any of these guys on the radio. They don't have radio hits. The biggest radio hit from Kid album back then, obviously, was Jump by Chris Cross. I think everyone loves that song. Chris
Yeah.
Cross, Chris Cross can't fuck with the youngsters. Uh, Lyrically, I'm telling you that right now. I'm telling again, very Mob Deep like. So if you like Mob Deep's flow, that East Coast flow in that 95 era, this is the perfect album for you. The Youngsters, I'll Make You Famous.
Ooh, I'm definitely gonna have to check that one out.
Come on, buddy. You haven't heard of any of my albums? Well, I haven't heard of any of yours either. So only a
That's okay.
well, no,
That's good. No,
this time I've
I
heard
think
of
you know more of my stuff.
two of them this time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think is there more? There might be more. I can't remember, but yeah, no, I think you're more familiar with my stuff than I know your stuff. But I always trust you when it comes to rap. I mean, I went back and listened to some of your suggestions last or not last week, 3 weeks ago or whatever, and I was thoroughly impressed by a lot of it.
Yeah, it's just a lot of like I said, obviously in that 90s era, those the bigger hitters are the most popular and but all those other artists kind of fall through the crack and they
Yeah,
all offer something different and great. Like you said 100 times on this podcast, there's something for everybody. Um, like I said, Illmatic is a great album. It's not on my list, but the youngsters are. Are the youngsters better than Nas? Fuck no. But again, like it's just the style, the flow. I've heard it so many
yeah,
times. And I like the youngsters flow. This is the album again. I can listen to my headphones. I can pop it on at work. I can drive to it, and all I'm doing is just bobbing my head. I don't have to worry about skipping nothing. It's full of that '90s lyrics and that dingy hip hop beat with that mellow mob deep flow. Great album, man.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? Like you mentioned with stuff like Illmatic and stuff, those albums that those big ones, those ones that everybody talks about. I mean, we're getting older now. We're both 30. We've been listening to music for a long time. We've heard those albums 1,000,000,000 times, right? So you just
Yeah,
gotta have some a little fresh, right?
yeah,
So
that's it, right?
eventually things lose the magic a little.
Yeah, that's it. Not saying it's not a good album. Um, Obviously, Illmatic by age better with time than I'll Make You Famous. And I'm not like I don't want anyone here to sit there if they ever watch this and go, this guy's comparing the youngsters to Nas. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just talking about these older these artists that really fell through the crack, right? The youngsters were very popular. They were up and coming in that 90s era, and then after this album in 95, I don't know what happened. They disbanded, maybe they lost a record deal, but that was it for them. So a great album, their last one. If you want to listen to their transition, you listen to, the other three albums, and then you get to this album and you go, okay, they finally hit the mark. They're at that 16,
Nice.
17 years old now, and it's a good album, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check that one out.
Definitely check it out, yo. Let me hear what number 14 already.
14, 14.
I'll say with
So
my number 14 pick, I cheated a little bit, and you'll see when you'll see what when it happens,
like, what's cheating? Like greatest hits album, maybe?
right?
Yeah, I got it.
See what happens.
Alrighty. Well, I'll get to. Anyways, my 14th pick. One of my favorite modern indie albums. Came out in 2015.
Wow,
Second
that-
studio album by this artist.
that's the newest
Um,
album we've had so far. I
yeah,
think.
yeah, I think it is. I think it's the
Wow,
newest album I have. But
wow.
yeah, I actually was able to see this guy tour this album too. But unlike any of the other albums on my list, um, one of my favorite live performers as well, and that is the album is "I Love You, Honey Bear" by Father John Misty.
No, I've never heard of that, obviously, but I haven't heard of a lot of your albums. But that one looks kind of neat. Open it up again.
Yeah, it's a lot of very interesting artwork and stuff.
Oh wow, I like that. So
Yeah,
what's
and
the
then you
fun of it?
see he's
What
actually baby Jesus, and he's
fuck?
sucking on the teeth.
So tell us a little bit about the style of that album.
Yeah, so this album, it's unlike a lot of the other stuff. You can tell I tend to lean a lot towards punk, but there is a lot of mellow stuff, more mellow stuff on my list, like the Wilco album. This is more along that lines. It's a smoother, easier to listen to album. He is actually only his second studio album. He was actually the drummer in another indie band called Fleet Foxes before this, and then when
Okay.
you listen to this album. Uh, or the album before, but especially this one, you wonder like, man, this guy was a drummer. He's wasting like a beautiful voice. Like he has a very, very soft, easy to listen to voice, and the music again very like smooth, easy on the ear, but much more full and more vibrant than his album before. Um, the the entire album is all the lyrical theme of the album is all about love, and
Okay.
his vocals and his lyrics are really the what stand out in the album. The lyrics are also what really give it its edge. Like it is about love, but he has a lot of he has a very like unconventional songwriter, and he is able to approach the topic from a lot of like interesting angles. And there's a lot of humor in it, and there's some stuff that's sad. There's like there's a lot of sexual jokes in it and stuff like that. And
That's right. It's right for me, eh?
yeah, it's a fun intro. It's really interesting album. The first time I listened to it and I heard the lyrics, I remember it was suggested to me by Kyle, and me and my brother listened to it in the car. And I remember that as soon as it came on, I started hearing his lyrics. I was like, "This is fucking pretentious garbage." That was my first opinion of it. And then I remember throwing it to the side for months. And then in our friend Kyle telling me, no, you gotta give that another chance, man. I know you would like that. And I remember picking it up again, and be like, oh my god, no, I freaking love this. Like it was almost like I had to give it a better chance. I just didn't
That's
get it.
it.
Almost, I didn't
You
get
have to
his
re-listen
charm
to
yet.
it. Yeah.
But he's very much almost like a modern day, like Jim Morrison figure. He was kind of like, for a while there in the indie circles, he was kind of like like an indie sex symbol. I think it's a lot of the time because of like the content of his lyrics and stuff like that. And he's always singing about women. He's always singing about love and stuff and sex. But yeah, great album. Interesting listen. And yeah, some interesting lyrics for sure. One of my favorite. No, probably my favorite modern indie album.
I'm gonna have to listen to that one. I'll listen to
Yeah,
that one too. I'll
I
listen.
Love You, Honey Bear by Father John Misty.
I'm gonna listen to that when I'm on the loader at work, man.
There you
But
go.
with the contents of that, I think I want you after the show, if you got time, to listen to my number 12 album. You are going to fucking love it. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Oh.
you.
Well,
I'm
now I'm
telling
saying,
you. When I
we're only
explain
at 14.
when I explain it, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Because it's wild.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now you got me.
Okay.
Now you got me excited. Now I just want to get to fucking 12. We're still at 14.
Number 14. This is where I said I cheated, and you're confused about it. The people that aren't watching are confused about it. So let me explain it. When
The
I was
masses.
going through all my albums, and it was like which one to choose from this artist, I honestly can sit here and tell you I couldn't just choose one. So I have multiple. So I
Oh, a
cheated.
tie. A tie.
That's not
That's fair. A tie's fair.
the way it's supposed to go. Um, honestly, so many great memories of this artist. I already spoke of having dance parties to Sean's Paul's Dutty Rock in my garage. It couldn't have a dance party without this guy's music as well, especially one track. Gets you fired up. I remember being at the Cosmic Chaos dances. You brought it up recently in the show. We brought it up before. That was an old dance they used to hold after hours at our school. I think it was like 7 to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
They used to play this song, and everyone in there would be doing the
Yeah.
and the music video was amazing. Again, I'll say walking Dan home late at night. We had our big crew, our big group. 1 in the morning, whatever time it was, I would go put my headphones on after dropping Dan off. I'd take my round, go the long way through the construction, all the way this way, so I could just listen to this artist. And that is DMX. I chose
Yes.
4 albums. It's Dark and Hell is Hot, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. Then there was X and the Great Depression. I have them right here. Um, Rest in peace to an absolute legend. Obviously, in my top 10 greatest artist of all time to myself. Very good lyricist. His delivery is raw, it's rough, it's rugged. I don't know how else to explain DMX than that. He comes off as a crazy motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's probably a crazy motherfucker. I've heard a story about a comedian talking about he was in the bathroom and DMX came in there, and he had did a skit kind of joking, making fun of DMX. And DMX came in there with all his boys, and DMX was talking to him, and all of a sudden, DMX spits out a razor blade. So the whole time, DMX carries a razor blade in his mouth. He's just,
Holy fuck! Just to pull it up and just like quickly cut a fucker or something. Like what
he
the
was
hell?
talking to him, and then DMX went like this, and then he pulled out a razor blade.
That's terrifying, dude. Holy shit.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
my god.
we talk about obviously DMX's rise to fame in that later 90s era, but we talk about introducing into the 2000s. Who led us there? Party Up in Here. That was a fucking banger. It's still a fucking banger. I remember getting our friend Pete into rap music. My family was starting to get him into rap music when we first met, and I told him, "Hey man, go listen to DMX." He came back and he was trying to, he was bumping the shit, but he didn't know what he was saying because he was like, "Stop, drop, roll."
He's doing like Smokey the Bear
Oh,
raps.
but again, man, what a legend DMX is. Obviously,
Oh
resting to a legend. Sometimes we feel, very hurt when a legend passes away like that. He was probably in a lot of pain for a lot of years, a lot of drug use, a lot of drug abuse. Still came out with great music that hits home. We're talking about, one more road to cross. We're talking about slipping. Dear Grandma. We're talking, out of those four albums, just a complete array of bangers. That's why I couldn't just choose one. Now, if I actually had to choose one, I'd probably go with Then There's X, but I'm not doing that because I love them all. So if you're out there and you've never listened to DMX before, um, prepare yourself. One, he has very I don't know how to explain his beats. Sometimes they're up and fast. Sometimes they're, on that borderline creepy vulgarness
yeah.
of his lyrics. His lyrics are vulgar. He's raw. He doesn't give a
Oh
fuck what he's saying.
oh
Well,
my
listen
God!
to
I remember
great albums, man.
where the hood at? Oh my
Oh yeah.
God!
What a
I
hood,
remember
what a hood, what a
my
hood.
dad just being completely disgusted by that. But then I remember going back listening to it and recently and being like, oh my God, like this is hilarious. This dude is literally saying like all this homophobic stuff in one verse. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I show no love to homo thug. And then literally the next verse
Hey,
he's like, you hold my dick while he's sucking it.
motherfucker. Yeah. Hold my dick when you suck that motherfucker.
Yeah. I'm
I'll
like,
come in your face so you can
I
see
was
me
like,
coming.
that's gay.
That's what I'm saying, though. His shit's just like on that borderline of like vulgar. Um,
Yeah.
it's raw, it's rough, it's rugged. Um,
Yeah.
if you're a very Catholic person, I would not listen to DMX. That's what I can say
Yeah.
there.
He's got a reputation as like one of the like the greatest battle rappers ever too, eh? Like
Yeah, he's got we'll never know what happened or who won it. They both say they won it. I've heard a
yeah,
lot of people saying X won it. I've heard
yeah.
people say Jay-Z won it. We'll never know. I don't know if there's tape on it out there. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like I could see X winning that, but at the same time, like I could see people just saying X won it because a lot more people dislike Jay Z than DMX.
Yeah.
So
But- And again,
popular thing to shit on Jay Z.
we talk about how big X was. We talk about how big Pac was. X dabbled in movies. He
Yeah.
had he actually had some of those great movies. I actually love them. I love Cradle to the Grave. What's the one with I can't even remember what the one with Anthony Anderson is. What's the one with Anthony Anderson?
Oh, I can't remember.
Fuck, how do I not remember what that is? Fuck, it slipped my mind, but obviously his acting is terrible, but like
Yeah.
the the movies are fun. The movies are great, and what a great artist X was, man. Sad to see him go the way he did. He was doing good. He was doing great. He probably just had one fun time, but one fun time too many, And it's unfortunate, but he left behind some great music, man, and gave me a lot of great memories. So, DMX, man, listen to all his albums, even like you said, Where the Hood At. That's on Grand Champ. That's a great album as well.
Yeah. 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 What it would be like to be at one of those shows back in the day, just the energy and
We talking about Woodstock. That man came out of Woodstock and rocked that motherfucker, yo.
I know, holy shit. Yeah, I mean, he's like a hip hopper, but he's coming with like the power of like a hardcore band, like a Black
Oh yeah,
Flag or
yeah. X is nuts, yo. X is
yeah.
nuts. All right, buddy. We're getting there. Let me hear what number 13 now.
Number 13, unlucky 13. My number 13 pick is one that again like for this one we're getting to ones that probably could get into my top 10. I think from here on out, these ones probably could have been in my top 10. Um, but my number 13 is my favorite Celtic Irish band of all time, and that is the Pogues and their 1985 release of Rum, Sodomy, and the Lash. interesting title, but a great album. It's got a lot of. It's like
See the
a
album?
parody.
What about it?
It's a
Yeah.
parody of an old painting.
Okay, okay, okay.
It's got the band put
Yeah, I could
into
see
it.
that. I could see that. Yeah, that's
But
pretty cool.
yeah, they got like old sailor pictures of them on the back. But yeah, it's got a lot of their big hits on it. Pogues are an excellent band if you're into any of like the Celtic vibes. They're again like they're around in the '80s. They're before all of your like Dropkick Murphys, your Flogging Mollies, all that stuff. They're a lot more traditional, just Celtic. They are influenced by punk music, but not in the way that they have electric guitars and heavy drums, but more in just the attitude and stuff in the lyrical contents. Guys are friggin' animals. Like everybody says in the band, like if they didn't break up in the '80s, they would have been dead. Just the amount of alcohol they drunk. They're just a bunch of wild Irishmen. I have a lot of sentimental value with this album. Me and David just freaking love this album. One track on it, "Pair of Brown Eyes," one of David's favorite tracks. I remember countless times I get off work, David get off work. This is when he's living in my ex's basement. I would
Oh,
text him, "Hey, you home?" "Yeah, I'm home. I just got home." I'd walk down the street, go to his place, maybe 10-minute walk. No jokes. This dude in like 10 minutes of being home, 10, 20 minutes of being home, will be like a quarter halfway through a bottle of Jameson's, and he'd have that fucking song on every single time. "Pair of Brown Eyes."
a classic.
Yeah, so I know it's one of his favorite songs of all time, but yeah, it's a great song. "Dirty Old Town," the lead track, "Sick Bed of Cacao," another great song. If you're into Celtic music or even maybe even punk music and you want to give it a Celtic music a try,
Yeah,
it's
I'll
an
give that a
excellent
shot.
one.
You're gonna have to give a lot of yours a shot. Well, I always listen to all of them, so I always listen to
Yeah,
all of them and see if it's around my alley, right? So, always,
exactly. Why not?
yeah, like you said, expand your music library. You know, there's
Yeah,
no shame in liking the music you like. Like I remember growing up. Obviously, I'm a hip hop kid. Most of my music here is hip hop, and I remember when I started getting into that punk rock scene. A lot of my friends were like, "Dude, why you listen to that shit?" Like, it was like one of those things that I kind of had to hide that I listened to a Billy Talent. I listened to a Sum 41. You know,
right.
those kind of guys, right? And I was more of a hip hop popular kid, right? So it was kind of like, what the fuck you listen to Green Day for? You know, I remember going. So it was one of those things. But yeah, nowadays, you just, be who you are, enjoy yourself, and it makes life a lot easier and simpler for you, man.
Yeah, it's funny because when you trace those things back, they're actually more similar than you realize. Like the hip hop and the punk, like people don't realize like they're both like music that are kind of native to North America. I guess you could argue punk maybe started in England, but I would say punk we recognize is mostly come from the United States. Both started in what the late '70s from urban areas. Like they're both like urban folk music, both rebel music.
That's it, man. You gotta love every type of music. There's a song out there for every emotion that you're feeling or every emotion you want to feel. So
Yeah,
um there's something out there for everyone. Don't discriminate the sound or the culture, you know, just enjoy it, man. There's some country songs that I actually really love too, and I'm not a country listen to, but when I listen to it, I'm like, this shit's good, yo. So it's something for everybody, yo. All right.
yeah.
Number 13.
Number
Number 13.
13.
All right.
SMD number 13.
That's it. So that's why I'm coming out with a banger here. Um,
There you go.
I don't know what else to say about this album that it's borderline genius. That's the bottom dollar I can say here. I know people, if anyone watched it or whatever, go, why is it not in your top 10? It's not in my top 10 because this isn't an album that I rock every day. I've already said it 100 times. And when I explain my albums, they're all dingy, dirty, underground hip hop. This is far from it. This album is truly a work of art. It's fucking fantastic hip hop. I think you have to listen to this album as well. It's 2003 Japanese born artist. So we're going a little different here. Uh,
Ooh.
he goes by the name of Lyrics Born, and it's called Later That Day. Um, this album here is
Oh, I like the
yeah, this album here is unbelievably fucking amazing. It brings you the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, all in one. Uh, I don't know how else to explain it. It's got strong production, you know, uh, beautiful, unbelievable lyrics on these funky soul electronic beats. It's right down your fucking alley, buddy. I think you should listen to this.
Wow.
Yeah, I cannot say anything else that this album isn't just genius, just brilliant.
What's
It's by Lyrics Born Later That
lyrics
Day.
born later that day? In Japanese born, eh?
Yeah, he's absolutely amazing. When you listen to the full album, it will take you to the 70s, and then you're like, what the and then you go to the 80s, and then you're like, somehow I'm in the 90s, then I'm in the
Right.
2000s, and then it's a mixture of everything, and then I'm in electronic. Like, where am I going with this album? And it all makes sense because the production is so strong and the lyrics are so tight. Again, I'll say it again. I said it 1,000 times. Brilliant. Please listen to this album. Lyrics born later that day. Great
Oh, I'm
album.
definitely gotta check that out. I like the sound of it, just drawing influence from like all different like eras.
Amazing album, man. Amazing album. 2003 banger. Obviously, that album gets washed away far, far, far in the ocean from all the, the big hitters coming out with all the albums in that era. So, listen to this album. It's a very different vibe and feel, but man, brilliant, brilliant,
Nice, man.
brilliant.
Lots of good ones to look forward to listening to for both of us.
My next one is down your fucking alley, man.
12, excellent 12.
You might
Well,
know what it is. I don't know. You might know what it
yeah,
is.
maybe. We'll have to do our 12 and then we'll have to recap.
Yeah.
At the end, we'll have to recap our top 20. We'll have to give them our top 10 too, if we can remember.
No, I can't remember. I can't, bro. Because I told you mine's pretty interchangeable. Like
Interchangeable.
I
Yeah.
just hyped up this album like it fucking gave me an orgasm. So like I'm it can
I
fit in
believed it
anywhere.
did. I believed
It,
it did.
it probably did. These four albums are fucking amazing.
Oh,
You
as long as
want
you didn't
lyrics?
orgasm
You want
when he
lyrics?
said
Right here. You want lyrics? Right there. What else you want? What else you want?
I want skits.
You want skits? Ah, fuck. Well, DMX has skits, and so does Redman, and so
Yeah.
even
Let's get it. I'll get an Adam Sandler album or something.
even this album has skits. So
Skits, eh?
fuck skits, man.
I
All
got
right,
an
buddy.
album for you with no skits. My number
Give it
12's
to me.
got no skits.
Give me.
My number 12 is right to the point, bare bones, straight to the point. Most of the songs, a minute and a half or under. And that's absolute classic of 80s hardcore punk. And that is DC Hardcore Punk Pioneers, Minor Threat, and their self-titled LP, Minor Threat. This is
Never
actually
heard of
my
them.
cheating. You recognize
Okay.
that?
No. Should I?
No? Well, the art is kind of like an iconic in the punk scene. The guy sitting on the steps. It's actually been replicated tribute by Rancid and their big
Oh,
album,
okay. Yes.
These Out Come the Wolves. And I mean, if anybody watches AEW knows Rancid because Ruby
Yeah.
Soho. That's
Yeah.
on this album.
I like the original better though. The original
Yeah,
picture.
the original's just a straight photo of that. Yeah, and that actually is the singer as well, I believe, Ian Mackay, and he's kind of big icon in punk music. Before this, he was in a smaller band. He's a bass player, Teen Idols. Then he goes from Teen Idols to the singer Minor Threat. Minor Threat, alongside Bad Brains, Black Flag, one of the real heavy hitters of early hardcore.
Yeah.
Minor Threat breaks up and he becomes the guitar player and part-time singer in Fugazi, band that went on to influence a lot of 90s bands like Pearl Jam and stuff like that. But yeah, real straight to the point, bare bones, hardcore music, a lot of emotion, screaming out things like lyrics right to the point, simple, easy to relate to. This is actually what I was going to bring up CM Punk with, this is
Mhm.
actually the origin of straight edge culture.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that's where straight edge came from, the DC hardcore scene, because there's so many kids listening to music that were underage that they were only able to convince the clubs to have these all age shows if the kids were all
Yeah.
marked with the X's on their hands. And then it just kind of turned into this culture of like no drinking, no drugs,
Yeah.
like no smoking. And there's actually 45-second song on this album called Straight Edge, and that song is the origin of that entire cultural movement essentially. And it's just 45 seconds of him going straight to the point, just like, I don't need fucking drugs. I don't need to fucking waste my time or fuck up my brain with drugs. Basically, it just gets straight to the point. If you do drugs, you're fucking stupid. But yeah, just great, excellent, just classic punk rock album. Like I said, it's a bit of a cheat because this was released in '84. It's a compilation of two of their EPs from '81. One with the same name, another called In My Eyes. But
Okay.
yeah, Clint's old school hardcore album.
Yeah, even someone like how you explained it, even before you explain it, I love photography. Even from just that simple picture,
Yeah,
you can get that this album is gonna be something that's gonna be emotional. You can feel from that picture that that man's going through something, the pain's
yeah,
there, the emotion, the stress. Great picture. Sometimes the simplest picture can mean, you know, the most, right? So I get so much
yeah.
feeling from that. And then before you even said what the album was about, I knew it. So
Right.
great job with the artist with that photo.
Yeah, and it's impressive alone because it's not, again, not put out by a major record company. It was all done independently, again, before the internet, before you could record in their bedroom. But these guys still made it work. They started their own label just to help their scene and their city flourish. Our friend Kyle, he's trying to do that right now, and
Yep,
he's trying to start a record label just to kind of get the scene going in his city too. You got to support
absolutely.
your local bands. Got to support your local groups.
You gotta support them, man. They're coming with different sounds, and it's actually very good when you really dig deep into it and become a big fan. Support them. Go to the local shows. It's always fun. It's always a good time out. Take your, you know, your wife, your husband, whoever have you, your friends, your best friends, have a couple drinks and just, you know, listen to some great music.
Yeah, take a couple friends and hold
That's
one
it.
stick while the other one's sucking it.
I'll bust in your eyes so you can see me coming, motherfucker.
I'm gonna be hearing those lines all night long. I'll be in bed and I'm gonna be like singing those in my head.
Okay, number
Here
12.
we're at the
This is
big one, 12.
this is an album I absolutely think you should listen to. I'm gonna actually just jump right into it. It is 1997's Dr. Octagon with Dr.
No.
Octagonacologist. Dr. Octagonacologist is the album, 1997. Um, this album, again, I explained the last album as brilliant. This album is genius. This is a little backstory. Cool Keith from Ultramagnetic MCs, 80s band who really pushed hip hop into the forefront, kind of fell into obscurity in the 90s. The band was no more. Um, what the fuck should I do? So the man changed his style, changed his flow, and went with this experimental hip hop, more of the horrorcore scene. Um,
Ooh.
Again, I'm gonna say this to you, and this is why I think you're gonna love it. Is I'm gonna explain what this album's about. It's called Doctor Octagonacologist. So what this album is about, it follows obviously Doctor Octagon. It's the adventures of Doctor Octagon, who's a sex-obsessed alien, half shark, half alligator, half human, working as a gynecologist here on Earth. So that's
That's amazing.
that's what the album is, okay? And each
Dark Horse
song,
comic.
yeah, each song is actually, you know, coming from him as fucking Dr. Octagon, right? Like
He's
it's
he's the narrator of the story too.
great chemistry with Keith and the producer. Obviously, the content is very science fiction. It's humorous.
Right.
It's vulgar. And but it works with Keith's fucking lyrics and flow. Um, we're talking about 1997 here. There's not an album like this in 1997. Obviously, the Ghetto Boys are kind of vulgar and on that, was on that kind of slope of horrorcore. This takes it to the next level. I just explained what the album is about. Listen to it. It is absolutely incredible. Um, Obviously, the lyrical contents, like I said, it's going to be very vocal, but the way he flows with the beats, buddy, I'm telling you, you never heard something like this album. Just like Lyrics Born's album, please go out there, listen to Dr.
Oh,
Octagon.
oh man,
The album is
I'm
called Octagon Ecologist. Listen to this album, 1997.
and
I'll bring it up here. You can
that
see he's
sounds
holding the
fucking awesome.
microphone.
I
An
gotta check that out,
amazing
dude.
album, a
The last
gem.
time when last time I listened to some of those albums you were suggesting me, and like the oh man, I'm Breaking Atoms. I just thought was just incredible. So I'm like really pumped to hear this one
Listen to
because
it.
this
Listen
you'll
to
love it.
lyrics.
And then you saying experimental hip hop, I'm like what?
Yeah, because if you know the 90s hip hop, 1997, once you hear this, you're gonna go, no way that's a 97 album. No way
That's
that's a 97 hip hop album. I'm telling you, Cool Keith, amazing with the lyrics here. It follows, like I said, it follows this half shark, half alligator, half, human, and he's working as a doctor. It's incredible, man. Please, please, please listen to this. I'll put it up again. Octagon Ecologist. That's the album.
oh my god, somebody's got to make that into a comic book. That would be an incredible comic book premise.
We talk about artwork. Like a lot of rap albums don't have artwork like this.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I mean. When you pulled that up, I'm like punk album. I'm like,
no, listen to it and tell me what you think. That's all I can say.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm definitely. That'll be the first one I'm going to listen to.
But the beats on it, the beats, the lyrics, the storytelling, it's right down our alley because we're sick fucks. So it works perfect, yo.
True. I like a little bit of depravity in my lyrics. That's for
Yeah, that's
sure.
it. So we're getting to number 11 here. Have any albums shocked you? Were you surprised that again, a lot of the mainstream albums didn't make the list?
Yeah. I mean, there's some ones. I think there's a couple I mentioned in the last episode. I thought maybe they pop up this week too, but I think I can't remember which ones I meant. I think I mentioned Offspring. I thought maybe one
Yeah.
of those albums. Not too sure which one it would be, but I thought maybe one of those would pop up.
Mhm.
Uh, But
Good album.
yeah, no, I figured you probably weren't. I thought maybe like there's other albums I thought maybe, but I didn't like Dookie, Green Day, but I didn't think that would quite make your cut.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I also thought maybe the documentary,
Oh, the game, eh?
but I guess that's a very top heavy album, eh?
Yeah, that's more top heavy with the hits, and then it kind of lingers on, and then you have another hit at the end. I don't mind the game though. The game's all right. He's all right here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one song I fucking love. What's the line in it? If I can think of it here. Um, oh yeah, I used to think LL stood for Love LA. He's from Queens. How the fuck he put that with Cool J? And then he's like, then he goes, "Who didn't want to be the Fresh Prince? Fresh kicks. Oh fuck, fresh kicks. I don't know. I'll think of the lyric. Once I think of it. Oh, who didn't want to be the Fresh Prince? Gold chain, fresh kicks, and a fucking. I can't remember. But again, oh, it's called Games Plan. That's a good song. Listen to Games Plan. But
Okay.
who didn't want to be the Gold chain,
Okay.
fresh kicks? I can't remember. Okay, whatever.
Okay, well, I guess I'll give a
It's
pass
it's
before I.
it's it's flat top, gold chain, and some fresh kicks. That's it. Who didn't
Oh,
want to
there
be
you
the
go.
flat top, fresh kicks? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's a good song, yo. All right,
Alrighty.
man. You gonna break
Little
down your
recap.
album or what? Yeah, give us a little recap, yo.
Yeah, it's red number 1, even though it's actually number 11, but whatever. It's number 1 for this week. So number 20, I had Wilco, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. At number 19, I had Strange Days by The Doors.
Mm-hmm.
At number 18, I had How to Clean Everything by Propagandhi.
That's
At,
what I'm gonna go.
did I say 16?
I don't know what you said.
I think I'm at 6. Yeah. 20, 17.
17. Oh, wait.
Yeah, 17. 17. Doolittle Pixies. 16. Velvet Underground Nico. Velvet Underground and Nico.
Yeah.
15. What's Going On? Marvin Gaye.
Can I get a sample of you singing "What's Going On"? What's
What's
going on?
going on? What's going on? What's going on? I'll give you Marvin Gaye anytime you want, sir. 14. I Love You, Honey Bear by Father John Misty.
I gotta listen to that one too, yo.
Yeah, I think you'll find that one pretty funny at times. 13. Rum Sodomy and the Lash by the Pogues.
That's another one I gotta listen to.
Yeah, some old school traditional Celtic music for you. And then at 12, Minor Threats.
That's another one I gotta listen to all of them.
Yeah, that was the one that really caught me with hardcore. That and the Bad Brains album really caught me with hardcore.
Yeah.
But
Right,
yeah,
number
so
11.
my number 11, the one that could have definitely climbed into my top 10, maybe got even as high as 5, even maybe. And that is my favorite album by what is my older brother's favorite band of all time, and
Oh,
that is Kid A by Radiohead.
okay. That's a good album, yeah.
Yeah, the follow up to their obviously really famous release, OK Computer. Complete U turn from OK Computer. The band was under insane amount of pressure to have a follow up album to match OK Computer. They're feeling like they weren't going to be able to write something that felt like they couldn't get into their rhythm the same way as they could when they wrote OK Computer and the Bends before and Pablo Honey before that. And they were just trying to figure out try something new for their creative process. I've heard people say like if they would have come out with another record in the style of OK Computer, they could have reached popularity height of like maybe being the biggest band in the world. They could have been selling the records that like Coldplay was selling, but instead they sacrificed that for critical acclaim and fan and appreciation. They went a completely different direction, much more ambitious creative direction. They ditched all of their guitars essentially, picked up keys, synthesizers,
Yep.
and completely changed the way they recorded the music. They basically wanted to free themselves of any genre labels that were on the band. They drew a lot from 70s krautrock like Can, and they also drew a lot from a lot of electronica like Aphex Twins and stuff. There's a lot of aspects of electronica from the 80s and 90s in this album. You could see that when they were creating it, were finding their identity as an electronic group. And like it's really the turning point for Radiohead fans. Like critically, Radiohead fans and critics look at this album and the ones that follow as their best work, this and In Rainbows. But a lot of people, this was their jumping off point. They loved the Bends, they loved OK Computer, and then they hear this and they're like, give me back my guitar rock, basically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of like where Radiohead decided to choose art over money, essentially. And absolutely, my favorite Radiohead album of all time. In Rainbows is also excellent. But yeah, I highly suggest this album to anybody. You listen to this really loud in the car from the tracks. Oh man, it's just such a full sounding, album. Songs like "Idiotique" and "Everything in its Right Place," just outstanding albums. Yeah, you listen to those loud in your car, and yeah, it sets an incredible mood.
All right, that's a good album too, yo. Radiohead. Tell us a little bit there. You said it's your brother's favorite album. How did he introduce it to you? Was it just hearing him blasting it throughout the house? Was it what was it?
I don't think even he introduced me to it because I think like back when we were young, those songs on OK Computer still played on the radio so much. Like I remember hearing like Arma Police and
Yeah.
even occasionally Paranoid Android. There were songs off the Bends playing like just on the radio and stuff like that. So I was familiar with those songs. And as a kid, I was more just your traditional rock fan.
Yeah.
So as a kid, that was my jumping off point as well. Like I wasn't interested in Kid A or the stuff afterwards. I was just interested in the guitar rock stuff. But then going back with a more mature ear, I just see that they just became a band that just offered so much more, and they were just so much more ambitious. And there's just so many more layers to the sound than just strumming guitars now. And that if they were to go back to that, which is what I used to want, I used to be like, I wish Radiohead would just go back to guitars and make a rock album. But now
Yeah.
I really feel like they would just be limiting themselves and kind of putting themselves in a box.
That's exactly right, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah, it's always sometimes it's tough to make that decision as an artist to, choose, your love for music over money, right? So it's one
exactly.
of the it's either like it we talked about Nas earlier. He kind of sold out. It was 10% Nas, 90%, let's get on the radio, let's get this, let's get and that wasn't Nas. That's why, Stillmatic basically saved his career, right? So good on Radiohead for keeping, their senses and keeping true to themselves. Again, one of the best bands of all time. We're talking
Yeah,
about. I want
absolutely.
to. I'm
Absolutely.
not comparing this band to Radiohead. I don't. When I ask
Oh,
this, don't worry.
of course.
But I know I've tried to listen to this band. It's not my thing. I'm not saying they're bad. It's just I didn't get into them. Maybe I have to give them like you had to do. I have to give them a second, third listen to. But what's your thoughts quickly on Tool? Is that a band you're into?
Tool. So Tool's one that's a little fragmented. Some people like a lot of like people that are big into music, big into even that genre and that style of music. A lot of the people think that Tool is kind of meh, like not very ambitious instrumentally and kind of cheesy instrumentally. I think a lot of like metalheads and hardcore guys find Tool a little cheesy. I personally enjoyed Tool. I always enjoyed Tool growing up. Don't listen to Tool a whole lot now, but I always found like lyrically them interesting. I thought he was a very intriguing frontman, a unique frontman. I guess I could maybe see where people find it maybe musically a little, I don't know, simple or I don't know. But yeah, it is a very like people are very divided on Tool. I find.
Yeah, because when I was told to listen to Tool, I tried listening to a few of the songs, and like the first thing I noticed, like they're like 10, 15 minutes long. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they're very.
They're very long, and I just didn't get into it. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but
Yeah,
maybe I'll give them a second, third listen to sometime this week and see if I'm feeling Tool. But anyways, my number 11, right? But let me
number
recap.
11. This
Number
episode goes to 11.
number 20, I had Third World, Journey to Addis, a good 1978 reggae album. So listen to that.
Our only reggae representation.
That's it. Then I got 1992's Super Cat, Don Dada.
Super Cat. Definitely checking
Listen
that
now.
one out.
You gotta at least
I
check
could.
that one out.
I,
That looks like a cool record right there, man.
yeah, that would be nice to have on vinyl. And I cannot forget Don Dada. You ain't forgetting Don Dada.
What was that? 1918. The album that a lot of people say saved Nas's career. We're going Stillmatic.
Stillmatic.
See how
Great
big
album.
look how big
Too.
that's printed. Compared to all the other ones, Stillmatic is fucking gigantic.
Yeah. It's a big ass pigeon too. What the fuck's that
Yeah,
pigeon eating?
Then we got 2001's Pop Rock, one of my favorites. Somewhere in America by Dynamite Boy. That's another one you might want to check out.
Definitely checking that one out.
We got an album full of lyrics, full of humor, full of, you know, dirty 90s beats that only Redman can bring you. Muddy Waters. You can even
Yeah,
tell it.
man.
You can tell it's going to be a dirty, dingy album. Look, it's got
He's
mud
got
all
mud
over
on.
the.
He got mud
Yeah.
on his boots.
Number two, an album, a group I grew up with. I listened to them. Um, their albums when they were young to old. Well, not old, but in that when they got to 17, 18 age where they kind of fell off the map. I'll Make You Famous by the youngsters.
Another good one. That Mob Deep comparison, definitely a must listen.
Yeah, I swear, once you listen to it and you hear the first song, you're like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what number I'm at, but whatever. Comes in at DMX. Four bangers.
Yeah, hit
Obviously, I was supposed to choose one album. I couldn't. So here you go. You got four bangers at DMX there. It's Dark and Hell is Hot. You got Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. You got Then There Was X, and then The Great Depression. One
I'll
of the
take
most
that away, Ty. That's
one of
fair.
the most genius written hip hop albums I've ever heard. Um, again, Japanese born artist, lyrics born later that day, 2003.
Yeah.
Um, Absolutely outstanding album. I'm telling you, you're gonna get the era of the 70s, 80s, 90s electronics all in one album with smooth lyrics. That's a beautiful gem. Okay, number 12. I just talked about this album, Dr. Octagon. Octagon Ecologist, another album that's a gem, hidden gem, a very vulgar gem, very experimental hip hop in that 90s era. Comes on 97, a very different sounding feel from any other thing you've ever heard from that era of hip hop, of course. So please make sure you listen to that album. Now
I'll
we're
be
on my
listening with breakfast tomorrow.
now we can go to my number 11. What can I say about this artist? This could fall anywhere in my top 10. It probably would fall in my top 10 if I could remake it again. I'd probably kick a few guys out. There's a few artists that actually didn't make my top 20 that could make my top 20 or my top 10, but that could be for another episode. We're not going there yet. But my number 11 is a man that finally got rewarded for his hard work. He finally got his Hollywood Walk of Star, his Walk of Star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's 1996. All Eyes on Me by
Oh yeah.
one of my favorite artists of all time, Tupac. Right here, we got a double decker. It's certified 6 times platinum. We got songs like All About You, Got My Mind Made Up, two of America's Most Wanted. We got Hearts of Man. That's my second favorite Tupac song. We got I Am Mad at Ya. We got Life Goes On. That's all on disc one. Life Goes On. We talked about how music is so emotional, and obviously Pac delivers it like nobody else. Life Goes On. Anytime I hear that song, I'm getting a little emotional now. Even though the content's different of what he's saying, you can always take bits and pieces that can fit into your life, and it always just brings me back to our good friend Pete. Every time I listen to that song, right, I just think about the good times I had with my buddy Pete. He's passed on, but just like you and me, we just miss our friend, right? So um,
Yeah.
I love that song. Life Goes On. Also on disc two, you got Can't See Me, you got Picture Me Rolling, you got Checkout Time, you got All Eyes on Me. Fucking fire album. Um, Obviously this was Pac's. Well, obviously Machiavelli was finished before he died, but he wasn't there for the release of it. So this was Pac's
Yeah.
final say on a release album. I had a list I was gonna write down on the albums, the songs that actually didn't make this album. And if I would have read that list, you would have been like, holy fuck, imagine if they would have put these on this album. Absolutely love Tupac. I can talk day and night about this man. Again, this is a good album. You got, obviously I feel like his previous album is the best album he's done, but this one you get glimpses of that. You get a lot of glimpses of Pac at his best, and then you get Pac at that, big, that thuggish style of Pac. But again, All Eyes on Me, great album. When you've been dead for when you've been dead for almost 20 years and people still think you're alive, that means you're one of the best to ever do it. So I'm happy he finally got appreciated with his Walk of Fame. There's some fucking bums on there that got it before he did. What an honor! I can only. It would have been amazing to actually see him there to achieve the award, but he's not. His music still lives on. So please, All Eyes on Me, first double decker hip hop album, 6 times platinum, unbelievable. Listen to it.
Yeah, I can't go wrong with that one. That's a good starting point for a new fan too. Like, just an excellent album.
Yeah,
Can't See Me, that's my favorite box track.
yeah.
Yeah, love that album.
Love it, y'all. Like I'll be listening to my albums, Hearts of Men come on. I'm like, ooh. And then when life go, again, when life goes on, comes on, it just reminiscing of my one of my good friends. You know what I mean? So he hits
Yeah,
you
rest in
emotionally.
peace, Peter.
And rest in peace. Even though the lyrical content is totally different to the situations, you can still feel the pain in Pac's voice and take that emotion and bring it into what you're feeling. And that's a true artist to me. So lots
Yeah,
of great picks. Lots of great picks. We had some that
yeah,
are
man.
highly touted. We have some that are not highly touted. We had some artists that no one's heard of. We had bands that no one's heard of. So please out there, take some time, listen to some of these artists, expand your knowledge of music, expand your range of music. There's always, like you've said 100 times, always something there for somebody.
Yeah, yeah. You might not recognize most of the albums that we picked or whatever, but hey, you probably recognize at least. Look, we rounded out with Tupac and Radiohead. We must know a little bit about what we're talking about.
Well, that's it. The thing is, like, when you get older and like, especially your style, your genre, you like, there's so much artists that you can jump into that, are so obscure. But like when you listen
Mm,
to them, like, how how is this artist not famous or not even famous, but how is this not an album people seek out, right? Same with hip hop. Lyrics born. I'm sure a lot of people don't know him. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I'm telling you, his album is borderline genius, right? So, always expand your knowledge. Always, you don't have to do research or whatever it is, but when you see that random track pop up that you may like, click on it. It
yeah,
might
man.
change your view of music. It might change your emotions of music. It might fit your music for that day that you're feeling, and that's what music is all about, man. So for me, the Dan, I'm not too sure what we're doing next week. I'm not too sure. Do you know what we're doing next week?
Well, we were initially. I know we mentioned it last week that like we mentioned last week that potentially 2 weeks from then we were going to do our NBA starting or an NBA draft, our fantasy team. We've been going pretty heavy into the sports, so we were thinking of maybe going back into video games, which was kind of
Okay.
like what we started with, right? So I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking maybe we could do a top 10 because top 10 seem pretty popular. It seems like people like that. And I was thinking top 10, your top 10 favorite games to play co-op. And I don't mean online. I mean with the motherfucker sitting on the couch beside you.
Okay, okay. So when we do this though, does it have okay, no, it'll make sense. All right, yeah, I'm down with that. So we'll do top 10 favorite co-op games that
Couch co-op.
we love to do. Like Dan said, it's not online games, so it's gonna be games that when you're a kid, you had to travel to your buddy's house. Like Dan said, sit on the couch, play with that sweaty ass controller that someone else was holding, and game together. So again, thank you everybody who hopefully watches this. I know we stream at a weird time. It's just the only time we have free time, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Enjoy the new music. Hopefully, we expanded your realm of music genres, and we will always see you next Sunday.
Yes, we'll be back next night for the encore. See you, everybody.
See ya.